Hello, I'm Marina. I work full-time as a remote cloud software consultant. And a few months ago, I had the opportunity to completely overhaul my home office and make it as productive as possible, while still being somewhere I want to actually spend a lot of time in. I'm in here up to 10 hours a day, writing C# and SQL, meeting with clients, and building Salesforce solutions, so I was willing to invest quite a bit of time and effort into it. So starting with the desk. The desk is kind of the centerpiece of my office setup. I wanted something sturdy, but relatively inexpensive, so I could maximize my budget on more important things. I decided to go with this L-shaped standing desk, and it's quite stable when I've got it raised in standing mode. I've used some standing desks in previous offices that wobble quite a bit, and I wanted to avoid that. I try to stand for at least an hour throughout the day to stretch and prevent back pain. I decided to go with the L-shaped desk because I can simply spin my chair to the side and I have a whole separate work area for my whiteboards and notepads when drafting process flows, for example. If you're wondering what chair I'm using, I have no idea. I just took it from a previous job when they shut down the office. It's about 10 years old, so if you have any chair recommendations, let me know in the comments. Quick side note, I have these wood slat panels with a thick felt backing behind the desk to help reduce echo in the room during meetings. I also installed UV blocking tint on the windows, which significantly cuts down on heat and glare during the afternoons. Moving on, I strongly believe that the monitor is the most important part of the desk setup. It's something I stare at all day, every day. After doing a ton of research, I went with the U4025QW from Dell. It's a 40-inch ultra-wide, and I specifically wanted this type of screen because I want the screen real estate that a dual monitor setup provides, but without the big bezel in the middle. I like this because I often look at flowcharts and data models, or even Excel spreadsheets that take advantage of this wide horizontal space. For multitasking workflows, it essentially doubles as two monitors, especially when using Mac OS's built-in window snapping. It's got a 4K vertical resolution, so text and UI elements look quite sharp too. I use Mac OS's default 1440p scaling instead of the native 4K, which makes everything a little too small. The USB-C laptop connectivity and built-in Thunderbolt 4 port were a huge selling point for me too. But I actually have a separate review video on this monitor where I go into much more detail, so if you're interested, I'll leave a link to that review down below. I decided also to mount the monitor on a monitor arm. This frees up a lot of room on the desk, so I can push my keyboard out of the way and have space for whatever I want. For example, taking written notes during a meeting. To match the white aesthetic, I bought the Ergotron LX Premium monitor arm. Not sure if Ergotron is worth the extra price over something like a basic Amazon monitor arm, but I'm going to be using this thing for 10 plus years, so I thought, why not? The LX is rated for 11.3 kilograms max capacity, and the U4025QW is relatively lightweight for an ultrawide monitor, just 8.3 kilograms, so there's no wobble and it's super stable. There's also a decent amount of adjustability up and down, or even pushing it further back towards the wall. By the way, my current laptop is an M1 MacBook Pro. My work gave it to me a few years ago when I started this job. Recently, I've gotten the opportunity to test out the new M5 MacBook Pro, so if you want to see a video on that, let me know down below. After the monitor, the keyboard and mouse are definitely the second most important because they're how I interact with the monitor. I've been using the Logitech MX range for about 5 years at this point. This is the MX Keys S and MX Master 3S. There's a couple of reasons why I like these. Most importantly, they're really quiet. The mouse clicks in particular. Nothing worse than hearing a constant clicking noise if you're on the other end of a Teams call. Same with the keyboard. Key presses are not audible to those on the other end of the call. I personally use the Logibolt USB receiver versus Bluetooth because I find it's a little more stable. It plugs straight into the back of the monitor. They both have USB-C charging, battery life is decent, I'm not having to recharge constantly even with moderate nighttime backlight usage, and if I end up getting a gaming PC in the future, they can switch between my MacBook, and PC with a single tap of a button. I prefer typing numbers into the number pad and also frequently use the lock button to lock the screen when going away from the computer. So I went with the full-size keyboard version versus something like a 10 keyless layout. For speakers, keeping with the white aesthetic, I went with the Audio Engine A2 Plus desktop speakers. I like these speakers because they're really simple. They have a built-in DAC, so there's no need to go buy a separate one and have a really complicated speaker setup. It's literally just a single USB connection that goes out of the left speaker and into a USB port on the Dell Ultrawide monitor. Every time I attach my MacBook to the monitor, I have audio output through the speakers. Audio quality is pretty good. I'm sure there are better speaker options, but for the form factor, I think this is perfect for me, doing meetings or listening to music while working. Otherwise, I have a pair of Bose noise cancelling headphones too. I made sure to get some stands for the speakers to slightly improve audio quality by isolating the speaker unit from the desk to reduce vibrations. And these also serve the purpose of raising and angling the speaker slightly to point directly at my head, which again, just slightly improves audio quality. I decided to get into the whole light bar craze and see what the hype was about. So I picked up a Screenbar Pro from BenQ. It attaches to the top of the Dell monitor via its adjustable clamp and has settings on the front. Brightness up and down, color temperature, etc. There is a sensor on the front too that allows for auto on and off that turns on when it detects movement in the room and turns off when I leave, while also adjusting brightness and color temperature up and down to suit the room's ambient lighting. These auto features were a bit clunky though. I prefer to manually set it and simply turn it on and off. Overall, I do like the light bar, but it was a little unnecessary for my setup. Yes, it illuminates the desk well at night and doesn't cast shadows like an overhead light would, for example, but it's only relevant when I'm writing and I don't typically do much of that at night. By the way, all of these desk accessories are simply plugged into the back of the Dell monitor for data and power, which is why it looks so clean and tidy. The webcam is the Insta360 link. It's 4K and has a pretty large sensor, so image quality is better than my MacBook webcam. There are other features like hand gestures to enable AI tracking or zooming, but to be honest, I never use that stuff. It's kind of a gimmick. I just wanted a webcam that has good image quality. One thing I will mention is this one actually rotates the camera down when not in use, so I guess that's a nice little privacy feature. The Screenbar has a nifty webcam mount on the top, so I didn't need to have the webcam awkwardly off to the side. The desk mat and laptop stand are just cheap Amazon accessories. I'll link them down below. One thing I really love is the lighting. It's Philips Hue, and I can turn it on via an app or via voice control. There's a light strip behind the desk, a play light bar on the monitor arm for some background bias lighting to reduce eye strain at night, and then a few random lamps all plugged into a Philips Hue smart plug. I highly recommend spending some time and effort on lighting if you're working at night. It just makes the room so cozy and relaxing. So that's my setup. I think it really matches my personal aesthetic. My favorite color is olive green, if you couldn't tell, but it also doesn't really have any dumb gimmicks. Like, it's all quite functional and lets me prioritize being productive during the workday. I spent most of the budget on the monitor, mouse, and keyboard, which is what I'm interacting with all day. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.